Hello, Westside Church. We are continuing our study through the miracles of Jesus. And at a time in our world where there is so much turmoil around so many issues, whether it's political or environmental or social issues or religious issues, there's so much turmoil, and it can feel really hard to know how to deal with moments of disagreeing with this group or this person or that person. And if you're like me, you've had a number of discussions with friends, family members, coworkers, neighbors. What I've noticed is that I usually come to agreement with most people on the big ideas. Loving people, treating people with care, justice, equality, caring for our world and our environment. It's pretty easy to agree on the high level topics. What I noticed though is where the disagreements come from oftentimes is in the details. We're going to see in this miracle a really interesting perspective of Jesus and how he approaches people and deals with people who are in disagreement with him and even against him and his mission. So reading out of Matthew chapter 9, verse 32, Jesus is speaking to the crowds, and it says, "While they were going out, a man who was demon-possessed and could not talk was brought to Jesus. And when the demon was driven out, the man who had been mute spoke. The crowd was amazed and said, 'Nothing like this has ever been seen in Israel.' But the Pharisees, the religious leaders at the time, the Pharisees said, 'It is by the prince of demons that he drives out demons.'" It's interesting because the crowd's amazed. And they're like, wow, nothing like this has ever happened before in Israel. Even the Pharisees couldn't deny that Jesus had just performed this miracle and the string of miracles before this throughout the Gospels. Everyone agreed on the big idea. People had been healed. Jesus was doing miraculous things. The crowds were amazed. As the saying goes, though, the devil was in the details. The Pharisees had ulterior motives and beliefs, and this was where the tension came in. In an attempt to derail Jesus' ministry, they accused him of performing miracles by the power of the devil. And if they could get the crowds to believe this, it would erode Jesus' authority, his divinity, even the crowd's perception of Jesus' righteousness in the sense that he was a good teacher. And so the Pharisees went after him from this angle. Rather than argue, Jesus did something really interesting throughout the Gospels and even in this miracle. He speaks truth to the Pharisees, but then he goes right back to his mission to heal, restore, to redeem, to care for the broken, the hurting, and the lost. He stays focused on his mission. I think it's oftentimes extremely difficult for any of us to change someone else's mind when it's already made up. And while I can't control someone else's opinions or thoughts or even actions, I can control my response, and I can control my thoughts and my actions. 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 9 says, "Do not repay evil with evil or insult with insult. On the contrary, repay evil with blessing, because to this you were called, so that you may inherit a blessing." And in our current polarized times, both in our nation and around the world, with widespread beliefs and opinions on virtually every topic, it can be tempting to want to try and convince people and change people's minds. I know I felt that. You probably have too. But I think our world is tired of hearing about God, about Jesus, about faith. They want to see something. I think sometimes it can be easy for us to overestimate what we can accomplish through a 3-minute conversation or debate with someone. And yet we underestimate the power of what God can do through, say, 3 years of our loving that same person consistently in ways that they can see and in ways that are tangible. Jesus showed us that long-term actions prevail over short-term opinions, arguments, and accusations every time. And I hope that encourages you today, this week, as you interact with good people around you, as you express the life and the love of Jesus to everyone around you. And hopefully that brings you life and encouragement. God bless, have a great day, and we will see you tomorrow for the next miracle.